So we just got to look at Dune Part 2's official trailer 2, and these are my first thoughts and impressions on the trailer. This trailer really wasn't holding back. It has a slick, sleek design. It packs a powerful punch, and now it looks like the Dune IP is in full swing with the second part. It feels a lot more daring, a lot more, dare I say, risky than the previous version. And perhaps it's true what Rebecca Ferguson said, that it's her favourite part and it's better than part 1, because it certainly feels that way. It takes familiar designs we've seen before and puts them in more thrilling sequences, while also showing us new designs. We really get a sense of Paul Muad'Dib Atreides being a man and being capable of leading a people. He seems more skilled, more aware, and it feels like he's fulfilling his role even more as the heir to House Atreides and the Mahdi of the Fremen. We get our first look at Emperor Shaddam IV of House Corrino, played by Christopher Walken, and while he's only given 2 lines in the trailer, his role seems to be a serious one, and one with a lot of depth, and it gives me the impression that it's going to be a chilling performance from Christopher Walken. In terms of the look, I think he seems kind of plain. Perhaps they're saving his truly imperial look for later on, but first impressions are that he looks plain, and so does his entourage, which wasn't really the look I imagined for the Emperor. I imagined all of the wealth went to the Emperor, and that's why certain scenes in Dune Part 1 looked plain, and that's why House Harkonnen on Giedi Prime and his surroundings and his chamber seemed empty, because all of the wealth was going to the Emperor. But it's early days yet, we may not have seen all of the looks for Christopher Walken as the Emperor. I just feel his look isn't regal enough.
Without dignity, without depth.
But we'll see. We get our first look at Mother Ramallo, who is the Fremen Reverend Mother. We get more of a confirmation that Rabban is going to face Gurney Halleck in the final battle, which is exciting. Paul Atreides was clearly crying in this scene, as I previously stated in my video just before the trailer was released. And even Chani is crying too. So this is a serious matter that's going on here.
He said that.
I got that. Thanks.
Paul Atreides seems to come across as kind of cocky here, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. Perhaps this is to show that he's still young and slightly immature in certain aspects of his personality. So I feel that this scene occurs earlier on in Dune Part 2, and we get to see the spice liquid really blue in colour, which kind of makes sense because it leads to the blue within blue eyes of the Fremen, or the eyes of the Abed. I'd also like to say how incredible these shots look in the IMAX ratio. This is going to be an experience that's deeply immersive. And I still hope they'll reconsider releasing the IMAX edition of Dune Part 1, because I know how much fans would like to see it. And we really get to see a lot more of Zendaya in action. She's really showing off her fighting skills now in these scenes, proving that she's an adept Fremen warrior. We get to see a lot more of those tender moments between Paul and Chani, and the love between them. I'm not sure I'm 100% convinced yet of their chemistry, but we'll have to see how it plays out. I do really hope that Paul calls Chani his Sihaya, though, which means Desert Spring in the Fremen language. I'm definitely convinced of their fighting skills though, Paul and Chani. They seem to have really upped the game here. Some of the lines didn't land for me, but some really did. One thing about the second Dune Part 2 official trailer is that they really get to show off Javier Bardem's performance now as Stilgar. And he doesn't disappoint, he really delivers his lines. And the line that really sold it to me was,
I don't care what you believe, I believe.
And this just really sums up Stilgar's ethos and his mentality at the time of Paul's rising to becoming their leader. And I think it was a great delivery of the line. Some people are saying that they showed a little too much in the trailer, and perhaps you're right. They showed the young pup scene, which is fantastic, a beloved scene to so many Dune fans. I thought they were going to save that for the film itself, but I did have my suspicions that it would be in the second trailer coming out, so it wasn't too much of a shock for me, but it was a welcome scene to see. And you really get the sense of the attachment between Gurney Halleck and Paul Atreides. Some of the shots look really epic, which is always welcome in a Dune movie. Paul finally calls himself Muad'Dib Atreides, or Muad'Dib. And then finally at the end of the trailer we get to see the atomics, which is just incredibly mind-blowing of a visual. It really is going to be a spectacle on the IMAX screen. Do yourself a favor, don't see it in the standard cinema screen. Go to an IMAX and see it, because they're only going to show your standard ratio in the standard cinemas. You're not going to get the full experience. We get a better look at Florence Pugh's costume that we saw in the teaser trailer briefly. And I don't know why, but it kind of reminds me of a regal stillsuit, or a stillsuit that a princess would wear. It's just a theory though, I highly doubt it's actually a stillsuit, but it just gives me that impression. Or it could be some kind of nod back to how female royalty used to dress in the medieval era. This look reminds me of Later the Second, if you've read God Emperor of Dune, and it gives the impression that Denis likes the idea of that visual, but knows he won't ever make God Emperor of Dune, or at least thinks he won't. So he's taking the opportunities he has now to use some of the visuals from the later books in his work. An example of that would be these ships, which remind me of No Ships from the later books. In this battle sequence, it is clear that they are attacking a sand crawler that belongs to the Harkonnen, as I mentioned in my Dune 2 trailer breakdown. So I'm glad we got to see more of that in the second trailer. And then we finally get to hear him say, "Long live the fighters," in the Fremen language. But there's one problem. It isn't the real Fremen language. Paul Atreides is supposed to say, "Ya Haya Shuhadat," but it seems that they didn't want to use the actual quote, which is Arabic, from the book. The reason for that is probably something I'm going to have to cover in a separate video, but I have to say I was disappointed that they didn't say Ya Haya Shuhadat, because it's a quote that Dune fans are used to, that they love, and you always see it being said in threads, in comments, etc. It's like omitting Bila Kaifa, and I wouldn't be surprised if they've omitted that phrase from the film too. But I'll be patient and wait to see if they actually use that quote in the film. But I highly doubt it, seeing as though that is Arabic too, and the language creator of Game of Thrones made his own language up for the Dune movie, so we may not actually get to hear these phrases being spoken by anybody in the film. These are quotes that fans have been saying for years. To omit them seems like a poor choice. I have absolutely no idea of the actual transliteration of the phrase of what he's saying. I have a feeling that some people might make this into a meme because it sounds a little strange, but we'll see. But I also get the feeling that this is a phrase that's going to be spoken by a lot of Dune fans to come. And that's where the disappointment comes in for me. It comes in the fact that they aren't going to be saying Ya Haya Shuhada like it is in the book. They're going to be saying something else entirely made up. But it is what it is. So those are my thoughts on the second Dune Part 2 trailer. But what do you think? Let me know in the comment section below. Look out for my deep dive on the second Dune Part 2 official trailer.